Robert Ochieng is the CEO and co-founder of Abojani Investment, and he's here in the hot seat again with us this morning. We're looking at budget saving and investing and looking at ways in which you can actually make this. It is an issue, and as we get into it this morning, we want to say welcome to you, Robert, once again, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. Glad to be back.
Great to have you here. And, as you did before, let us welcome you to the room with today's proverb, and then you can do an interpretation of that for us. Okay?
Yes, we are in the Comoros, okay? An archipelago in the Indian Ocean, similar to the one we have in one of our counties in Kenya called the Lamu County. Where there are riches, thieves abound. If the riches are large, the thieves are big.
That's a tough one, but I would say what it means is that you should take care of what you have and be very discerning and careful in regards to whom you share your riches with.
Good.
Fantastic.
It's a good interpretation. So you need to have riches, and when you have riches, other people will also want it.
Yes, so you should take care of them.
Yes, though it's yours, other people will want it.
Indeed.
Yes. And they may not necessarily ask you to share with them. Some may actually decide they want to take it.
Yeah, at times, especially after you've gone to be with the Father Lord up there.
Or you have decided that you have this need to represent the people.
You can decide.
It happens when it gets into people's heads. And
Yes.
I know many people have lost a lot of money trying to be MPs and MCAs. So probably you need to do a study of that. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, even as we do, and looking at budgets and looking at investment and looking at savings, these are conversations that find their way into, people's homes, people's offices, people's minds every day. And we're getting to the place whereby, then being able to hold on to or get a hold of your finances becomes more difficult as the days go by. But that doesn't mean that we can't find solutions towards it. And that forms the basis of some of the conversations that we have this morning. So let's start off in that arena. Robert, and let's just start with budgeting. The entire process of budgeting and its importance, let's give an overview of that from your perspective.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I would first say that I'm glad to be here because April is Financial Literacy Month globally, where people are just supposed to be more connected with their personal finances in terms of organizing their money, budgeting, saving, investing, and stuff like that. And what is key when you look at personal finance, we say that it is very personal because it is about you, your goals, objectives, and what you want to achieve in life.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important to make that connection so that by the time you are going to budget, you are basically planning that these are the things that I have in terms of aspirations, where I want to get, and money is a tool to help me with that. So that personal connection is key. And one of the frameworks for budgeting is just to say, can you categorize your financial needs into financial spending into three items. So first of all, look at your needs. So needs are the bare minimum, whatever we are spending our money on at the peak of COVID. There are a few places to go, right? Then the next thing is living life, and finally saving and investing for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So once you have that, then you also need to look at your life in terms of your short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. So you'll know that in 5 years' time, this is what I want to achieve, and this is where I'm saving and investing. So that connection is supposed to be very personal. And when you don't have the personal connection, is where we fall for what we call IOP, so impressing other people, So you start doing things to please other people, and you'll realize these other people, they never exist during your tough times. And that's when people start saying friends are a scam. So I usually say, if you have a connection with your money, you'll know that this is my situation. Probably you have irregular income. So there your budget will be different because you should be aggressive on the expenses side. But there are people who have the comfort of receiving a salary every month. So their budgeting framework will be different. There are entrepreneurs who have decided that for the first 2 years, they're not paying themselves a salary. So you have to look at your own situation, then you plan based on that situation. And you need to look at money as a framework for living life. So you also look at your life and situation. So probably there's a gentleman with 2 wives, for example, or there's a firstborn with 6 dependents. So look at your situation so that when you are putting your money into plan, it reflects your aspirations and your real life, like what you want to achieve for yourself. Because without that, there's a famous saying that the man will grow legs. Yeah, and that's where now you start having the conflict. This is what I want to achieve, but I'm not achieving anything. And retirement is a big problem globally because people just find that the age has arrived,
Yeah.
So we were told by 65 we'll retire, but they didn't tell us that over 86% of people who have retired in Kenya, they don't have enough to live off. So it means that without financial planning, then you just count days. Today is Wednesday, next week, Monday, like that, then time is going. So it's very, very important to look at own objectives, then you start planning your money around that.
So how do you budget?
Yeah.
So there's a framework known as 50-30-20 rule. So that's just an example. So what it says that don't put more than 50% of your net income on needs. Then 30% is for living life. So I would define it as anything to do with body, mind, and soul, like keeping fit, if you're supporting your parents, leisure, entertainment, going back to
That should be
school.
how much? 30%?
30%, yes.
30% is body, mind, and soul.
Yeah, so that's self-development. It makes you a better person. So you need to keep fit, you need to eat healthy, you need to go out and relax. You can't be working 24 hours in a day. So because of that, you are feeding the life, but also taking care of your needs. But you also need to think about tomorrow. So money is about living today and thinking about tomorrow. So that's where saving and investments come in, and you need to look at 20% of your net income.
Saving 20% should be saving
and investing. And saving actually happens in your mind. You've decided to set aside money, but we need to move it to investing, whereby when I'm moving money from my salary account, it needs to go to a place where I'm getting returns above the inflation rate. Currently, the inflation rate is 3.6%. So if you can get returns of at least 8%, 11%, that would be good. So in the long term, it would work in your favor by growing your wealth over time.
But when you talk about saving, there is the important aspect of tracking your income and expenses. And even when you talk about the 50-30 rule, it is that aspect of knowing where to put these 20%, because someone will just say, see, I'm saving, I'm just putting it in a certain savings account and that's it, I'll get it after X number of years. So there is that lack of information on where someone should invest in to get the returns of 8% above the inflation rate.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So when you talk about money, you need to look at 3 pillars. So you start with the mindset, which is what we've been talking about. So mindset is basically who you are and what you want to achieve with your money, and making that connection. You start by answering the question, what can money do for me? So what does it mean to me? So it means different things to different people. For some people, it is status. So if they're around and you don't feel like they're around, they'll stop working. So you need to feel like City Muga is here. If it means status for them, they'll tell you, I have a home in Kajiado, and my kids are in the UK. So if that is why they wake up to work in the morning, let them be, because that's how they connect with money. For some people, again, it is security, it is freedom. So that's very important. Then you go to skill set. So skill set is to understand that this is where I am, and these are the tools that can help me to achieve my obligations. So go to financial markets, look at the regulators, look at the risk, look at the safety, and how the various investment options have been working over time. So you might go to a bar somewhere and we hear that this is the hottest investing. So if you don't have a history, it's very difficult to judge that kind of investing. So it's always important to start with the defensive options that will teach you the habit of saving and investing consistently. So look at things like money market funds by asset managers or circles. So they've been proven. If you select some of the best, so the details are available on the regulators' websites. So if you select some of the best and you're just consistent by putting even 5,000, 10,000, it will teach you, because doing it is actually like being in the University of Personal Finance. There's no other option. It doesn't matter how much you know, you need to start doing. So that doing will tell you that whenever you get money, you need to set it aside, so it becomes part of you. Then the other thing about money is the tool set. So after you've understood how the instruments work, you need to have the courage to take action. So go and open that Sacco account or money market, and then you get started. And that's why they say money is silent, because once you get it, it's so natural, and you're just in momentum, you're just in the flow of doing it consistently. So it's very, very important to look at the mindset where you connect with your money, skill set, you understand how money works. For example, there's something known as 72 rule. So what it says is that if you take 72 over the rate of return, that's the number of years it will take for your money to double. So 72 rule says, for example, if your investment is giving you 12% per annum, so take 72 over 12, that's 6, right?
Yes.
So it means that if you put 100,000 somewhere, it will take 6 years for it to double. So it's very, very important to understand such rules, because that's what will enable you to work with money in the long term. Because the advice is that you need to give your money space to breathe.
Okay.
So if you don't understand such rules such as compounding, it means that you will not take advantage of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this example that you've given now, it'll actually take you 6 years to realize a return on what you have put in.
100%. It will double.
It will.
Double in 6 years. So it means in 12 years it will have grown 4 times.
Okay.
And that's why they always say start early. And still, if you are 40 and you have 12 years ahead and you are earning good money, it still means that you can do very well. Yeah, so it is about time. So money works with time. Yeah.
There is the aspect of sticking to the budget. That is the most difficult thing for many, because here is a question where with everyday things change. Inflation goes up, yet I'm supposed to stick to these 50-30-20 rule, despite the fact that I'm spending more on the other needs. So how does that come to affect the overall money that I'm getting at the end of the day? And what should I do? Because it is just the normal way of things changing here and there.
Yeah, so I would say in terms of sticking to the budget, what I would say, it is planning. And planning is not about perfection. It's just to have a framework. And you should know that personal finance is a self-mastery and self-awareness journey. So you need to be aware that there needs to be flexibility and improvement over time. So once you have that in mind, it will mean that if you've not done well in this month, you look at where you went wrong and you keep improving. But in the needs budget, I always advise people to have a line known as things that I forget to budget for. Because there are things that can come up within the month. Maybe there's some subscriptions, some bills on 25th that forgot to incorporate into your budget. Then you keep writing them and you'll get better over time. So ensure the budget is not too squeezed. But the thing is, if you have that connection with where you are saving and investing and you write it down, you are likely to be more disciplined in money matters. So if money means security for you, you won't struggle when you are saving and investing for security. Because again, we know that lack of money can bring a lot of problems. Some people say money means happiness to them. So it means that there are those friends that if they're broke, they'll be grumpy. If you call
they'll
them...
be sick, not grumpy. Sick.
Yeah, literally. So if you know you're that person, just save and invest, because when we call you as our good friends, you just want to say hi. You know, sometimes they're just checking on you. So it's very, very important to have that connection, because like we say, the mindset is the driver. It will push you because you know why I'm doing it. Without it, you'll have a struggle. You'll feel like saving and investing is a punishment. But look at waking up today and you find you said the jobs are gone. What will you do? You see, that's a very dangerous place to be in. So it's very important to have the connection, because already you have 30% for living life. The sherehes and everything, supporting other people, you know, going to the gym, keeping fit and stuff like that. The needs, you have a whole 50%. So it's important to have that. So in the worst case scenario, you should have something to save. Even if it is 5%, then improve it over time. If you're young and you can save more, the better.
Yeah. You know, but this discussion presupposes a certain income. If I live in Nairobi and I'm earning 7,000 shillings, how will this discussion work for me?
Yeah, very good question. And I'll take you back to my personal history. So from campus, I used to live in a place known as Kimbo.
You went to campus?
Yes.
Let's say you didn't go to campus. Because when you go to campus, you start with an advantage.
Yeah.
You actually have an education. So even when you begin working, you will begin at a certain level.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the citizens of this country have not gone to university. The majority have not gone to university. The majority of people who make a living in business are small, what you call juakali, small scale businesses. All right. What they earn let's be fair. Let's give it 20,000, just for purpose of being fair.
Great, yeah. So the beauty, City Muga, about Nairobi is that there's a house for every level of income. So you need to look at your situation and where you are and season. And before you even look at informal and formal, what you need to know is that money is a byproduct of value creation. So that's something that I've seen, like there's an entrepreneur who did for us the interior design for office. They did it so well that in the last 6 months, they've done for other companies in the same place. So the same would go to a plumber. If you are invited to fix some tap or something, do a good job so that next time I have friends, I can speak about you. So it's always important to have that relationship, because people keep saying that they're earning little. But the thing is, ask yourself, what more value can you create? How can you make yourself to be in people's mind when they are looking for people who can fix things? So that's very important. Then when you go to earning now, it is a journey. Like the first time I was ever paid, it was 20,000, and I was living in a bed sitter. So you move with that.
Bed sitter.
So anyway, so you move with that. So over time, as you prove that you can work, because these days there are a lot of opinions about work. There are people who actually say, for me, I want to work like this, like that. That really doesn't matter. What matters is the results and outcomes. And people who go up the ladder, they're able to achieve more, because you'll have even Juakali people who can work.
Robert, when I started to work, my salary was 2,000. Okay.
When was that?
1981.
That was a lot of.
That was a lot of. You must have been a cool kid.
Precisely. That 2,000. God, man, there was hardly anything I could not do with it. I could do everything you mentioned, because the shilling was very strong then. Inflation was at a bare minimum. My reference point is somebody who is a laborer, who is not guaranteed of work on a daily basis, who is paid per day, because there are very many Kenyans in that position. There are some who are farm laborers who are paid even less than the worker who is engaged in a building site we call mjengo. Not everybody who is on a site, a building site, has a qualification that is known, but they work and they are paid. These Kenyans, how does this message resonate with them, and what do they do with their circumstances?
Yes, I always said that what you need to prioritize is needs. So basic, the bare minimum in terms of survival. So you need to look for rent, a roof over your head. So you prioritize the needs budget first. Then you will see from the needs budget if there's something little that you can save, whether it is 100 Kenya shillings per week, but always prioritize that, and then look at ways if you can get more income, or just the little that you can save, even if it is 100. So that discipline, you learn it during your tough times and worst days, because the good days, if you don't have the habits, it will even be worse for you. So it's always important to say that for now, yes, I can't afford to save and invest. I might not even afford to go out. So I'm just looking for the needs budget first. And that's human nature. I remember, even without all these financial markets and stuff like that, what did we used to do? We used to go and hunt, right? Yeah. Even the idea of eating breakfast, lunch, supper, these are very new idea. I don't know how people used to eat before, but they were surviving. So survival is the priority. Then you see how you can improve in terms of saving even the little that you have. And be creative as well in terms of networking, getting to see where the opportunities are. Because that's a weakness that we have in our ecosystem, that people don't talk a lot about networking. And you'll find that someone has gone even to some of the biggest schools, and they're still speaking like those who are not privileged, So we need to take advantage of networks, even where you work. The people can move to the next place. If you are working well, they'll give you those opportunities. But I would always say prioritize the needs for a start, and live within your season.
The things you say, as I hear them, they make sense. But there are things that perhaps need to be instilled when one is very young. Young at the point where it becomes your habit. My case in point is a country like Japan. They have a saving culture. India, they have a saving culture. China. These Asian tiger countries, they have cultures, meaning actually saving is considered something that one aspires to do. we aspire to spend. So you see, there is a fundamental flaw there, and there's a fundamental difference, because if your urge is to spend and to splash and to splurge, then there'll be nothing to save. And part of it is because that is habitual. One didn't learn or acquire the discipline of thinking of money in the structured terms that you're referring to. This is an argument, we always put across whenever we're talking to guests here, that some of these things, wonderful as they are, if they're not part and parcel of the learning process of a child as they're growing up in this country, this problem will persist. Countries that are able to have surpluses and are able to have money, it's because people save.
Agreed, yeah.
They know and they understand and they save. So they have money. As we spend. And then when they're not spending and they want to find an excuse for not saving, they'll say black tax.
Or they'll say sherehe.
Or they'll say something.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the questions that comes up, because when we talk about budget, investing, saving, that the assumption is that there is a little bit extra, but the excuses we often give really doesn't matter at what earning level you are, is that there just really isn't enough to go around. So maybe we come back after this break and talk about then where do you find the little bit extra for it then to be enough for these things to happen. And we'll see. And I know you've given a little bit of, in terms of insights into then where to find it, whereby the conversation is, I only have so much, and I know that I want to get from one place to another. Is it a thing of mind over matter? Because the matter is that in your account or in your hands, you can see the reality of what is there. So is it an issue of that you can train your mind to start to look for opportunities? How would you advise on that?
Yes, so I'd say money works with abundance. So it's to see that there's enough going out there. Like despite the hard times, you'll still find that people are spending. So you just look at the places where you spent your money in the last 1 month, and there's a way value is created, and customers will tell you so-and-so is doing a good job and stuff like that. So I think lack of connection with that can also bring a lot of problems. So it's very important to learn how value is being created. Then when it comes to saving and investing, to be honest, the older generations, they used to have granaries and they used to save and invest. They're able to take their kids to university. They're not struggling with school fees for kindergarten and stuff like that. So what we also need to know is that as we consume information, we really need to be discerning. Because there are extreme ideas and the border on spending, pleasing people, stuff like that. And then we forget about ourselves. So I always say that, in my opinion, we need to pick the good things from all these things that we are seeing and connect with the tradition. Because if you look at the unit trust space in Kenya, the 3 months between April and June 2020 is when people saved the highest amount ever in the history of Kenya. So it means people need to be scared to save. So we've always been told that people prefer painkillers to vitamins. So it's important to learn these habits. Yeah. Because when they're tough, like someone told me that they're in a very tough situation, they're not okay mentally, and to go and see a therapist, they were paying 5K per hour. So you see, things are tough either way. So if you get sick, things are tough. So it's always important to look at life as a matter of things can go wrong, and you start with an emergency fund. But above all, learn value creation. So value creation is whereby what you are doing speaks for itself. And that is how it works. So if you are to take your car to a mechanic, you are likely to go to the best. And people know who is good and who is not good.
Right.
So those are the things that you need to learn. Then networking. So the other challenge that I'm seeing these days is that people spend a lot of time with people that are not going to add value in their lives in terms of opportunities. And they call them friends and they call them buddies. People you can have fun around and hang out with might not necessarily be the people who can give you opportunities. So smart people, you'll find the wealthy people, they have a very subtle way of mixing social with business. You might find they're meeting somewhere over social drink, so they're doing social and business together. But the people spend 99% of their time with some people who they call social friends, like the whole weekend. And these people never share with them any job opportunity or business. So I think we need to know that money is a byproduct of who you know, how you interact with them, the skills that you have, and how people can speak on your behalf. Yeah, because you can only get so much opportunities by yourself. And even if you are doing a good job, you still need your customers to talk on your behalf or your former employers. But this day we hear people actually brag that they resign through a text and disappeared. The next time, the next employer will ask this previous employer about you. Then you'll start seeing that's where the rain starts beating you. So you have to understand these principles. They're old and they exist because people want reputation. Like everyone wants their company to succeed. So they'll try to look at your background.
Yes.
And it is even crazy in banking sector where we look at your credit reports and stuff like that and reputation because you're handling people's money. So knowing those elements is very, very important, and respecting the fact that when you create value is when you earn. And when now that earning comes, you can think about saving and investing. And if you want to grow your earning, grow your skills, grow your relationships and stuff like that. So that's a very subtle thing that maybe has not been explained. Then saving and investing, I think we can say we are where we are, but part of civilization is to get better. So like for us, we do a lot of initiatives for young people. Even our current masterclass, there's a big time Nairobi NSC investor who received their Safaricom dividends, and they're sponsoring 5 to come and learn from University of Nairobi. So let's do what we can. And even for the young people in our family, I want even the CS for Treasury, Honorable Mbadi, to create some tax exemption for women. So let's say formerly employed women, the month that they are having a baby, they should exempt that pay for that month and put for the child in a money market account. Because it is said that when you start when you are young, then you'll grow. And it will also save the government with the retirement issues that we have.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So practically, you want to go ahead, Dennis? Practically, if I have 1,000 shillings, okay, maybe what you're going to put in a money market, because these are things we talk about, where to put your money and what to do. Because truth is, somebody who says maybe they do earn, very little, or they're making very little from business. If I have 1,000 bob and I want to put it in a fund, for example, what is it giving back to me?
So if you look at it, it can give you 8 to 10%.
That's 8 shillings.
Yeah.
80,
so you look at it from a
80
percentage.
shillings. Yeah.
From a percentage point of view.
Yeah.
So as long as you are earning above the inflation rate, then you are doing well. Because in some countries, the savings accounts give even 3 or 4%.
And this is over what period of time?
Over 1 year.
So if I have 1,000 shillings, as the assumption is, if I have 1,000 shillings, in 12 months, you're giving me back 80 shillings on top of what I have.
Yeah.
Right? And so now when you look at it like that, as opposed to the percentage, people are like, well, why am I going to waste my time doing 1,000 shillings where I can, maybe open a business and I can see the 300 shillings that it's giving me every day?
Yeah. So for that one, you need to think of a portfolio. You get it? So a portfolio is to say that when I'm earning 1,000, I'm going to set 200 into that low risk account. So we call it a war chest or a buffer. Then 800 you can try out something with. And people exaggerate business. Like personally, I lost about 3.6 M in side hustles in a period of 3 years.
You are one of those quail eggs guys.
Yeah, no, just these typical ones that you think and you can calculate the amount of money you're getting per month in your head, but when you go to the ground, it doesn't work. And people have lost money, 50K, 100K. So it's good to know that we are working with a portfolio. Low risk is the foundation. Don't skip the foundational steps. Like emergency, like if you lose your phone and you are in business, you just need to have another phone. That's where the 5K that you set aside will help you. And probably the 30K that you had, you've blown it in a business that didn't work. So it's important to know that when you have that emergency fund or the war chest or the buffers, you're actually buying the peace of mind.
Yeah, so there is the aspect of saving, but knowing what to save towards or how to save is usually the issue. You've mentioned the emergency fund, but let's talk about saving for specific goals. So you'd find someone short term, I need to save because I want to go enjoy myself over December, so I'm saving towards a holiday. Then there is the medium term, house down payment and whatnot, and then there is the long term where I'm saving for my children's school fees, I'm saving towards a retirement and whatnot. So how important is it to understand what I'm saving towards so that I plan myself towards that? Because it's fine we're saving, but for what exactly am I saving for? How critical is that information?
Yeah, that's very critical. So we started by saying that you need to divide your goals into short term, medium term, and long term. So when you get your money, like let's say you are planning to go for holiday, then that one falls under self-development budget, body, mind, and soul. So you're just putting it aside every month, 5,000. Then at the end of the year, you have a cool 60,000. Then you can go and enjoy yourself in Diani, Then there is saving towards home ownership. So home ownership, you'll say there are different ways of owning a home, and I want to buy a piece of land. So the piece of land could be 500K or 1 million, stuff like that, then you'll know that I'll achieve it in 5 or 6 years. Then after that, probably start saving toward construction. So you need to look at short term and long term, and also look at the blind spots, because people are likely to forget budgeting for things like school fees. So that's very common, car insurance premiums, and even holiday. Yeah, so it's very, very important to look at that. So the expenses that don't come on a monthly basis, but still need to save for them on a monthly basis. Then prioritization is important. So just know that your resources are not unlimited, and look at that. And if you have a connection, what we call goal-based saving, you are likely to be able to save more than when you don't know what you are saving for. Actually, when you just have money lying there, you'll become very clever in terms of how to spend it. Yeah.
Or you could forget.
Yeah, you could forget. Yeah. And the funds will come. So the other thing that I didn't talk about skill set is learning to say no, and no is a complete sentence. Yeah, and I think, not to be too harsh to people, but I think we need to learn that only young people are supposed to struggle with things like pleasing people. So these days you find people at 30, 40, they're still spending a lot of money pleasing people who don't even care about them. So that's a real crisis right there. Yeah, because people who love you and care about you, they really don't care about these funny things that people trying to spend money on, that people will be due during your worst days.
Robert, when did it become a crisis?
It has become too common.
People, or you're speaking of sycophancy? Okay, now that is the extremity of it.
So what I'd say, just spending money to look cool towards other people, but you are hurting yourself and your finances. Especially in the social media era, where people are trying to claim to be who they are not.
iPhone 16.
And they are setting standards for people. Setting standards for who? Why should anyone set standard for me? Yeah. We didn't meet anywhere and agree that you're going to set for me standards. You do have a point.
If someone is doing what their heart tells them to do, whatever it is tells them to do, and they are doing it, other people choose to copy what they do. I mean, the blame game, which is normally a way of dissecting and analyzing and concluding on an issue, if we make up our minds independently, it also means we make up our minds who we allow to influence us. It also, and often that tends to, should we say, align with the desires that we have. If I have an interest in being known or being famous or being seen to have money, then I will be in social media and I will be presenting that image, won't I? Yes. If, for instance, I like to be thought of as somebody who is important, when I go home and I'm among my relatives, I'll make sure I splash so that people know that I'm Mr. Moneybags.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
So, as well, in this room, I really like City's shoes and I want to get them. So,
yeah, so that's why I say, in my opinion, I would look at, do you know who your friends are, buddies, and people you need to be friendly? Because when you look at personal finance, even in developed economies, retirement is a crisis because of lack of connection with your money. And unfortunately, City, what happens if I don't do anything for my retirement? It will become your problem as the taxpayer. That's the standard globally.
It is true. Yeah. It is very, very true. But you see, what you're talking about is an aspirational way in which one should go about business, and it also points to how the government should go about looking after its citizens. One has heard comments, one has heard discussions, one has even heard pronouncements of something like the Retirement Benefit Authority and the things that it does, NSSF, increasing the contribution. These are things that are meant to inform the public that whatever it is that you are saving should be able to help you. For instance, the contribution that were made to NSSF, that thing cannot help you. At the end of the day, previously, you can work for 30 years, that money will not help you.
It will not take you anywhere.
No. It won't. Even if they pay it you monthly, it is peanuts. Now, the point is, how do we structure a system where, just like we are taxed based on what we earn, our saving is also based on what we earn. So that this kitty, you know that you work for the number of years you've worked, whether you're still in employment and whether you're not in employment as such, but you can still contribute this amount of money. Actuaries do a very good job. They'll tell you at the end of X number of years, you will be able to have this. Now, it's not that difficult to do. It's not, but it hasn't been done. Now, if we look at people, since this is your line of business, of people who actually understand savings and understand investment, what percentage of the population in this country would you say they form? Yes, roughly, anecdotally speaking.
There are very few.
Yes.
They might not even be 1%.
Precisely. It may even be a fraction of but it is good. It means they exist. So how do you grow this?
Yes, I think first step the government has tried is the new NSSF structure, which is still work in progress. But it came because of the realization that the previous one was not capable of helping people. So I think that's one goal. And then what I've seen from retirement, I think if you look at history, what happened to people who used to work for Kenya Railways, Telecom, you remember, people have realized that that primary retirement basket is not enough these days. So you still have your primary deductions from your employer, or if your business, you set that aside, but create a portfolio of investments. So you talk about real estate, money market funds and stuff like that. Even if you have cattle. So that is what has been seen to work, because even currently retirees will tell you they're never too sure when the pension will check in. It can take 3 months, 6 months. So because of that realization, I feel people should take more charge of their retirement plans. So on top of the traditional pension plans, like individual pension plan and NSSF, have another option, like they're saving that 10K in money market, bonds, and grow towards a certain amount of money.
Right. So when CT mentioned that some cultures that we know that, they're saving cultures. That's just what they do. But I think about my grandmother, and, there was that little stone thing, where she kept, the woman was filthy rich because she would just keep and keep and keep and keep, and there would never be a time where there would have been an emergency of some sort, or one of her children was getting married and she wouldn't have extra money to buy wrapper for to buy like the cloth for the ceremony,
what
or things,
a
wrapper for the ceremony. So my point is that they always had something, and that's where these groups that we see, the people in Europe would call them the social groups, but we call them exactly. We call them the chamas. Where I am from, there are different names that they're given, but people will come together with the little that they have and then they put it away, and that was a culture which sometimes has gotten lost. But we see the resurgence of that, where people are coming together and they're saying, we can put that's something that I have. If I stay with it, the likelihood of me consuming it is high. But if I bring it to the table and then we all come together and put it together, we can see something that something is happening. Is that the way in which we should be going? And what can we do to bring back that thing of a saving culture, whether you actually are putting something aside? What can we do? Because you've used the word crisis, you've used the word problems, you've used that word to say that we're not in the space where we actually should be, and that we have too many issues at the end of the shilling. Too many issues, whether it's a death, whether it's education, whether it is whatever, that there's too many things happening for us not to do something about it now. What can we do so that we can get to the place where we too can be known as the cultures that save and invest towards something?
Yes, so I think the culture, we need to build it at national level, because to be honest, we've lost a bit of our culture. Like the things we are talking about coming together, what people call modernity, it has ended up disintegrating the society. So we are disintegrating ourselves across generations, across gender. People are spending a lot of time there. But to realize that wealth works with consolidation. Like even if you are to save and build the expressway, for example, it will come from people coming together, the chamas, the circles and stuff like that. So we cannot outdo our social structure. So we need to look at it, even at family level. Actually, there's someone who told me that each family in Kenya should try to create a small family business as a soft landing for their children when they come from university. Because these days, we have too many unemployed people. So those are structures that are in some cultures. They have a family business, you'll come there, as you wait for your internship, you are there for a few months. So these are very creative ideas that you can come up with. Then working together, like the friendships that we have in terms of saving and investing, is very, very key. So what I would say, in my opinion, during the social media era and the era of modernity, discernment is the new level of intelligence. Because things are just coming. You can pick up things that end up not being compatible with the kind of life that would actually be useful to you. Yeah, and that's why you find, like, I know someone who's extremely rich, and they told me that they usually have 3 months in a year where people around them know that they don't want any drama. If you have drama and it is April, wait for May. And it has worked.
We keep your drama for May.
Yes, because they might be waiting for some deal worth hundreds of millions and you are bringing a 1,000 kind of drama. You know, drama can come from all shapes.
Pesky little drama, yeah.
Yes. So it's just to know that you need that peace, serenity, and above all, working together. Because great things are done in teams. If it is a football team to win, have that element of working together, and even family members. When we talk about supporting each other, it's not only about money. Like teaching your younger siblings how to write CV, getting a career coach. The people have done that, and their younger siblings have gotten jobs. So learning that you need to move together is very, very important than relying on just one rich auntie or uncle that we are all gonna hate. Yeah, so it's very, very important. Because if everyone is coming to you, it's just a matter of time before they start calling you names. They can call you Auntie Harrier.
But Robert, what you're describing is the socialization or the culturalization of a people.
Yeah.
Because if you come from a culture where it is considered okay to be dependent, and whereas what you're suggesting is that there should be a culture where one is encouraged to strive on their own and to try and see how best they can go about their business. Now, I come from a culture where there are people who will take pride, and it is a good thing, in the achievements of their relatives. But that pride also comes with dependency and over-dependency, to the point where one probably sees no need to hustle or work so long as this able relative there. And this is how they have been cultured. And how do you get people to understand that whatever small a contribution they think they can make, it's still a contribution, and that there are things they can actually do? There are countries that have ensured that in their curriculum, students are taught to have business, to start businesses, have them as students, so that by the time you even get to the level of university, you started in secondary school, you understand a business and you're conducting business. By the time you leave university, you actually have a job. You have things to do. So going to be employed is almost secondary, because you've had time to make mistakes, because there's guidance and you have people who know. You have time to ensure that this thing actually works, and you have time to understand how to earn from it. All I'm saying is the efforts that are needed to get our people to have that complete mind shift and to understand that when money is put aside, it's actually for their benefit and nobody else's. And that when they learn to strive and do things for themselves, it's for nobody else's benefit other than themselves. Places like Japan, you will find 70, 80-year-olds still working. Yes, working.
Actually, according to the Federation of Kenyan Employers, a formerly employed Kenya has got 5 dependents. So you'll have 5 dependents. So I think we need to shed that off. And one thing that we need to do, which should be very radical, is to reduce the youth age from 35 to 25. Because scientifically, it has been shown that to become a full adult at age 25.
But they just told us the other day that they were going to increase it from 35 to 40. That you can now say that youth can go up until the age of 40.
There's a subtle way of African governments to keep us dormant psychologically. So that's why we waste a lot of time. Before you know it, we are 40, and then the pressure comes in. Go to the US. Latest other countries is age 29, 27. Yeah. Because when I was working in the National Treasury, I joined when I was around 25, and the lady who taught me what I learned there, she was 22, but she had worked for 3 years. So I was feeling very embarrassed. Yeah. She was from India.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to stop babying ourselves too much. That at 25 I still feel like I'm young. You know, this generational thing that people are given. So we just need to know that the earlier you focus, the better. And when you do well when you're young, you'll get a lot of time to enjoy even life. Like the people who come here for holiday from Europe, they're not rich. It's just that they have a saving
They've put it
culture.
aside,
culture,
essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. There's something that you raised in terms of families, every family coming up with a business. And I think that is very key because I remember back in the days, Mzee Aseto had a posho meal, you know, and immediately after high school, we went there, you worked, and at the end of the day, you got your own salary and you decide what it is you want to do with that. And it is from that simple aspect of it that you get to understand the importance of having family businesses and how it cushions the young, especially when there are no jobs to do. So in terms of, I even saw Siti smile when you're talking about that. And I think it's very crucial because it's a buffer zone for families and an opportunity for young people to work at a very young age and know the importance of just putting in the work, yes.
Yeah, so it is soft landing actually, and we should try even by high school. Kids can even go for 1 week or one day, just come here, see how work is done. So you need to start that connection very early because when you find people from university don't even know how to write CVs, then it's like you just go to university to tick a box. There's no connection between university and work and entrepreneurship. You come and you learn hard, and then all of us, 1 million, we are waiting for opportunities. I think that issue of learning how to create value, it needs to come out. Because currently, even if you find discussions in the workplace, they're out of touch with reality. Because I find a child saying Gen Zs are like this, like that. But the world has changed now to what we call ownership economy.
Yes.
I have some clients who are telling me, I'm 37, this is my last 3-year contract. I have to save this much so that by the time I'm 41, I'll be having this in passive income and I don't see myself working again, or it might be difficult for me to get another job. So you have to live with those realities and really connect with value creation. So value creation can be through entrepreneurship or being a professional where you can actually trade your skills. So it's about knowing that if I give so and so this job, they'll be able to execute. And let me tell you, Kenyans are actually lucky because I know like other countries look up to us, and I know Kenyans who are doing very well even in other parts of Africa as mobile money consultants.
Yeah.
So we can actually even do borderless kind of opportunities.
There are opportunities, they abound, and there's something that you can do with whatever you have. And it's always important to have conversations like this, you know, just moving us from one step to the next. And because of that, we're very grateful that you joined us in the room this morning to at least have, you know, parts of those conversations, Robert. And we look forward to the next time where we can open up on some of these things again. Robert Ochieng is the founder, CEO of Abojani Investments. We've had a conversation this morning around budgeting, saving, investments, and ways in which we should be going to ensure that the future that we look forward to is actually achieved and achievable. Thank you for keeping it Kenya's biggest conversation this Wednesday, the 2nd of April. Asante Sana.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.